5 o'clock, just in time. Welcome.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi. All right, welcome to Peterborough Select Board meeting for September 3rd, 2024. Summer is officially over. I'm Tyler Ward. With me are other selectmen, Bill Kennedy and Bill Taylor. We are on the air, and that's about it. Tonight's agenda. Acceptance of money pursuant to RSA 31:95B. Skate park money, nice. Designation of an emergency lane up a section of General Miller Road. We'll hear from Tina Kriebel from Children in the Arts. There's a proposal to change from calcium hypochlorite to sodium hypochlorite. This might be controversial, but for pool treatment. And then we may vote to approve an application to the Peterborough Highway Safety Grant, right? In the amount of $8,200. We could authorize expenditure of some TIF trust fund money, and then we'll probably appoint Susan Garcia to the recycling center advisor. And then after that, we have some requests for funds to expend, capital reserve funds. We'll discuss electricity rates. That's a follow-up from our last meeting, right? And then consideration of Journeys and Education's request for charitable exemption, and everybody knows them as the Mariposa Museum. And then we had minutes from August 6th that we'll probably do as well. With that, up first, is someone here from rec, or who has the check? Someone got cash in there?
I don't think Kate brought cash.
I don't have cash, but I'll go to Bar Harbor Bank and get the check. Are we on that?
Giant check.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Have we opened it?
So we have to open the
It's
public
public
hearing.
hearing. Yep.
I would make a motion that we open the public hearing for the acceptance of monies pursuant to RSA 31:95-B. We have a skate park, and it will be renovated, and awesome people have organized and raised $17,750.46. Got a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, now our public hearing's open.
So this is the balance of the funds that have been raised to go towards the skate park. There are still other monies that we return to appropriate out of the Isabel Miller Fund, but this will get us started. Seth is currently in the final stages of negotiating a contract with a vendor who will be doing construction. And Seth, I don't know if we have a timeline yet for that work?
They do want to do it this fall, so trying to get the contract wrapped up this week. A couple of minor details we need to come to agreement on before we can do that.
That's essentially where we're at.
All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? Anything to add, gentlemen? Nope. All right, well, I'd make a motion that we accept those funds. Hello, that.
Second that too.
Awesome.
Take that.
All those in favor? Great. All right. I'll make a motion that we close that public hearing.
Well, we have another one, designation.
That's the second, yeah, so you're gonna close the first one,
Oh.
and open the second one.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Oh, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye. I'll make the motion that we open the public. Oh, I get to make a motion.
I'll second that one.
There we go.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Summer mode.
Great. Emergency lane. Who's going to be speaking about the emergency lane?
Let Seth take this
We're
one.
going to speak to that.
Great. Welcome, Seth McLean.
So we're, as the memo that you probably read indicates, RSA 231:59-A allows select boards the authority to enable your highway department to spend funds on a Class 6 roadway without reverting its class to a Class 5 roadway, and the purpose is for emergency purposes. This is coming up because a landowner had approached the town and said that they had some concerns about our use of the edge of their property, which the snowplow turnaround, as you can imagine, for our six-wheelers, you got to get a little outside of the right-of-way, so you need a little bit more space. And they had asked us to cease using that. We tried to come to some form of agreement with the landowner. There wasn't a lot of interest in working with the town on an amicable solution. But as the memo indicates, the Class 6 portion of General Miller still exists. It's still a town road. But what we can't do without this designation is spend any money, labor, or any manpower of our highway department to bring it to a minimum standard at the very southern end so that we can just turn our emergency vehicles around. So we're talking about plow trucks. We're also talking about fire apparatus and ambulance if needed in the case of an emergency. So all we're asking for tonight, and I'll clarify as well, we're not looking to redesignate the road. We don't want to use the road. There's not going to be municipal vehicles driving all over the road. We're talking about the most southern portion, just widening a little bit so we can turn a plow around. The alternative, unfortunately, whereas we don't have anything other than driveways through there, would be to back our plow truck all the way down General Miller Road, back out to the intersection, which creates a very unsafe situation for motorists and pedestrians. So with that designation, our crew, hopefully this week, would go up there, remove a little bit of brush. If they've got to bring in a little packed gravel or something, just to make a little bit of a turnaround in the southern portion. So it's right through here. So they'd be in this area, just allowing them enough space to turn around. That's really all there is to it. We're trying to do our work safely and efficiently. And yeah, the former turnaround was right in that area, and they don't want us using that. I can't speak to what agreements did or didn't exist with the landowner prior. It would have been something that someone held my position 30 years ago maybe had a handshake agreement on, but we don't have any easement or anything that allows us to continue use there. And out of respect for that landowner, there's no point in pushing that issue, particularly where we've got an alternative that would work. It would be our crew that would do the work. We're talking very minimal money, but as some folks may know, even a dollar spent on a Class 6 road would revert it to a Class 5, and then we have to bring it up to a minimum standard, which means we're going to have to redo the entire road. So we really can't put a shovel in that road without the designation. But that's the purpose this evening.
Was that property getting damaged or something?
Well, I suppose that depends on who you ask.
Okay.
You know,
Got it.
plows do leave some debris, and I know all of us who live in town, we get some of that in our own properties. What I understand to be the bigger issue is that the property is in a conservation easement, and they were concerned about one of the conservancies inspecting the property and having an issue with debris left over from storms or asphalt or things like that. So they asked us to clean it up. I'm fairly certain, I haven't checked with our highway superintendent, that we did that, but they didn't have interest in us coming to an agreement to continue its use. So personally, professionally, operationally, I prefer to stay on public lands anyway, not be working with private landowners when it comes to snow plow turnarounds or putting municipal equipment on any private property. So I actually think that the Class 6 roadway is really a better solution for us on a practical level.
So we're not encroaching on any private property?
No, we would strictly use the publicly available land.
Anybody in the audience have any questions about this?
You don't want to offer your driveway for us to turn on?
No. I'll just comment on it. I'm Michael Nadeau. I'm the owner of the abutting property to this. And I'm absolutely for doing this. Just so you know, there is an additional safety issue here in that there's a lot of large vehicles that come down the road thinking they can cut through to the other old General Miller Road. And they get stuck there. There's box trucks, there's yard crews, and it creates a real issue if they don't have that turnaround.
So Seth, you're gonna have to put a turnaround just further north into one or the other.
Right.
So how is that any different? Because that turnaround's in that large parcel on the north.
The majority of the turnaround, this is not drawn to, this is just GIS, so this is not, this is not surveyed, but it exists in this area, and it is primarily on private property. So we would, in order to use it, we would need to still access the private property.
Gotcha. All right, well,
I'll make a motion that we accept or
Designate General Miller as an emergency lane.
Yes. So moved.
yeah, I'll second that.
That's-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, all right, good solution.
Thank you, Seth.
Hope everyone's happy with it.
I move that we close our public session.
Good one, Bill. I'll second it.
All those in favor? Yes. 2 public hearings right out of the way. All right, well,
Hi. Are you in the public meeting now?
yeah, we're, yeah, tell us about Children's Yards.
I just wanted to come and express my gratitude for the town's support. We are in the process of planning the lantern event. Jeannie Connolly is one of our lantern co-chairs. She's started planning for December, and this month we'll kick off next May's planning, but I wanted to come and say again, thank you to the town for their support, large and small things, folks in administration helping us with keys and communication, the fire department, the police helping keep people safe for the parades. The library co-sponsors some of our events and our workshops for the lanterns. And the DPW helped us take down the flags when they put up the American flags and lets us borrow cones so that we can keep parking away from small children. And it takes a lot of months to do the planning, but it wouldn't be possible without the support of the town. So I just wanted to come and again say thank you, and thanks to all of the town employees and volunteers that help us.
Well, thank you for all you guys put into that.
You have anything to
It's always
add?
lovely.
It's always a great success, both events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to have it.
All right, well, thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you. Hey, I see Chris Sanderson just came in. We already accepted that skate park money, so you missed it.
Missed it. Well, thank you. Sorry I'm late. I had
Oh, no worries.
for some reason I had 5:30 on my calendar.
Oops.
Yeah, oops that. Yeah.
So, there you have it. All right, I assume Seth is gonna talk about, oh, no, Nate's gonna talk about the pool water.
Both of us.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Yeah. Water.
Nice. Yep.
Go ahead.
We're ready.
At it.
Sorry, want me to kick that off?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about still talking about the skate park stuff. So this would be the upgrade, and I'm gonna let Nate talk about all the details. Nate and his staff have put a lot of work into this over the season. And essentially, Nate's gonna detail why we wanna make this switch, but in layman's terms, we wanna go from using the old hockey puck style chlorination to liquid injection, and the reasons for that, as Nate will get into, it's a lot easier to maintain, particularly where you have seasonal staff, people who are not experts in the pool field, in the field of maintenance of pools or chlorinating pools. It would mirror how we do other chemical treatments for water supplies in town. It's a lot more stable, and it's a lot smarter way of doing things, particularly where we have families and people using the pool seasonally, and we didn't feel, choose my words carefully, over digging in a little bit this year that we're handling and managing this as responsibly as we can be. So we want to set the pool up so that it can be more easily managed. It's safer for our community to use. So big kudos to Nate. He put a lot of work into this. His staff spent a good portion of the summer out there helping support the seasonal staff and making sure that the pool was safe for our community to use. And it is in good footing now, but we want to make sure that it works for a long period going into the future, and that it's sort of, I wouldn't say immune, you're working with chemicals, but a safer situation as staff turns over or as people are working on the pool. So Nate, I'll hand it over to you.
So what we'd like to do is put a 1,000-gallon sodium hypochlorite tank in there. It'd be 1 to maybe 2 deliveries in the summer. The kids, the staff, they wouldn't have to take the buckets and pour them in there and get the chlorine dust in the air. It's much safer. The pumps that would be used would save energy. The pumps that are used now are big, they move a lot of water. The pumps to move the chlorine would be much smaller. It'd be a lot more user-friendly. The probes that I propose that we use, it'd be 2 probes, and currently there's 5. And the 5 probes have to be calibrated multiple times during the day. The 2 probes that we put in will need to be calibrated. Well, one of them doesn't need to be calibrated ever, and one of them will need to be calibrated once a year.
Cool.
I could add one more to that too. The amount of money that's reflected in the memo, that I'll read off here for those who didn't read it, $31,553.90, would not include another item that I think we are likely to at least put forward through the budget process this year, which is to bring the pool online with the town's SCADA system. That way our qualified water operators are seeing the levels of chemical in the pool in real time. So if there's ever an issue, we overdose, people who actually work in that field can make recommendations much, much quicker that, hey, we need to shut the pool down for the day, we need to get this right. Presently, no, it's a manual process. It's regularly checked, it's not, you know, completely haphazard, but it could be a lot more sophisticated, a lot smarter, and a lot safer than it is right now.
So what are we measuring? Measuring pH and chlorine levels?
pH and chlorine, yeah. And the equipment that I'd like to put in the pool is the same equipment that we use for water and sewer. And the pumps are the same pumps, so if something were to go wrong, we could take our spare pump or spare equipment and bring it over.
Have you presented this to the rec committee and
No,
are they getting involved at all?
I don't think
This is-
anyone's mentioned
This is
anything.
operations, not programs.
Operations, And the money, where's the money coming from?
Yeah, so there is presently $32,585 in the Adams Pool Fund, so all the money with your vote would be able to fund this conversion to a chlorination.
I'm totally behind automating this system. It's crazy that it's running complex into the pool.
That's definitely a huge step in the right direction, and as Seth said, we'll be back with the CIP program to talk about putting it on SCADA.
Yeah. That makes sense too, but that'll happen next year.
Is that a motion with your blessing?
Sorry?
Is that a motion?
Sure.
To bless this? Yeah, I'll second that. Yeah.
And also to move the money, or take the money out of the Adams Pool fund. Is it
Yeah,
Expendable or capital reserve?
Adams Pool and Improvement Capital Reserve, so it'd be
Yeah, that's what I
authorization to spend $31,553.90 from the Adams Pool and Improvement Capital Reserve Fund.
Yep, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, yeah, good work. Thanks, Nate.
Sure thing. Thanks.
Yeah, very interesting to read all that.
Yeah, we finally got some professionals behind that process.
I really can't reiterate how much time, not just Nate and his staff, but also Tim Rose and his staff spent helping along rec this year. It's been really greatly appreciated. They've done incredible work.
This guy's gonna be teaching like softball and soccer soon too.
What is the status of the rec director?
The advertisement's out, and I've already gotten some responses.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
And it was, we waited to put it out because it was middle of summer and.
Correct, yeah.
Finding a rec director in the middle of summer would have been virtually impossible anyway, so
At least,
now
you
is the
know,
time to do it.
any responsible rec director wouldn't have even considered applying for it in the middle of their summer programs. So
Sure.
the people that we're looking for are the people who would wait until this time of year anyways.
Right. Great. All right, up next, we have highway safety grant in the amount of $8,200. We're looking to apply for that.
This
That's
is-
what this
Thanks,
is.
Nate.
Thank you.
You can leave it open, Nate.
Okay.
Thanks. So this is the annual grant that Chief Kennard applies for to help cover some of the overtime-related costs associated with doing highway safety patrols.
Yep. I make a motion that we approve that application.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving right through these. Expenditure from the West Peterborough TIF Expendable Trust Fund in the amount of $6,830. Seth, what are we buying?
Yeah, so this summer I had a series of meetings with the Parks Committee relative to a different issue, but we invited members of the community to come out and talk to us about a pollinator garden idea, which is actually happening, although the grass has been growing very slowly since that time, so you can barely tell it's even happening, which might be a good thing. And during that conversation with a dozen or so members of, who live in West Peterborough, we also asked the question, what could we be doing better with this park? How would you like to see this improve? And one of the things that came out of that was we'd like to see better seating. We know we have that little Stonehenge area and you can sit there, and the town has since put a few Adirondack chairs up, but the Parks Committee had said, hey, why don't we see if we can purchase a few chairs, and where we now have the newly established West Peterborough TIF Expendable Trust Fund, which has nearly $1.9 million in it. It seemed like a reasonable ask to come to the board and on behalf of the Parks Committee and ask for that money. So that would be $3,950 for the 6 Adirondack chairs. And then they had also asked the continuation of pruning. We do pruning services. We oftentimes put those in the operating budget, but where there's a lot of money in the West Peterborough TIF Expendable Trust, it makes sense. We have a proposal for $2,880 to have all the crabapple trees, those are the trees that line the front of the park, pruned for their health and longevity. So the total ask is $6,830 for those items.
Is the West Peterborough TIF advisory still operating?
Not lately.
We haven't met in a long time.
And I believe that their mission is completed at this point.
That's what I thought. I was gonna
That's
ask
great,
if
yeah, we can,
you consulted.
Wrap that up. Yeah.
So, going on in the future, now that the West Peterborough TIF is sunsetted, as they call, who's going to make decisions as to what kind of improvements to make? The DPW?
There will be.
We'll make recommendations to you.
Uh, So we actually will not be making improvements, we will be maintaining the
Maintaining,
improvements that
sure.
have been made. That, is made very clear within the plan and within the enabling, which, the town meeting vote that we took in May.
Right.
So it's really just for the maintenance of the improvements that were made under that TIP plan.
But what I was asking is who's going to propose what maintenance needs to be done? Is that
That'll
your
come
bailiwick?
through the budget process and the CIP process.
Okay.
I make a motion that we authorize that expenditure.
You want this one, Bill?
Sure, I'll second.
Go ahead.
All those in favor?
It's the same 30 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, Susan Garcia would like to become a member of the Recycling Center Advisory Committee. I did actually meet Susan at the Recycling Center when I was campaigning a year or two ago. Very nice person, would be a great addition, and I would make a motion to appoint. All those in favor? Aye. All right, the work starts, Susan, if
I
you're
was
watching.
kind of hoping that you would show up tonight and tell me what time the meeting is actually tomorrow. It's 8:30 or 9:30, I'm not sure, but anyway.
This is the cheap part of this meeting that's included.
Yeah.
Yeah, get ready.
All right, you just gonna, I don't know, reiterate what's written up there?
Sure,
The
yeah,
key
it's pretty straightforward. The request to expend from the Police Department Fleet Management Capital Reserve Fund, $52,656 to replace the K-9 vehicle. This is our regular cycle of going through the police cruisers and making sure that everything that we have on the road is roadworthy and able to meet the demands of the department.
This one might be a little late even,
A little bit.
because it was supposed to go in that pickup truck, which rotted out before it could be retrofitted. And so they used like a car that was already
They're getting
cycled
ready to
out.
retire, yeah. I think it had a couple more years left on it, but yeah.
And this is half of the amount of money? Or, I mean,
No, it's old.
That's it.
that's it for a whole car, whole vehicle?
Believe so.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Tahoe strip.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then the rest of the money to get outfitted, I believe, is in the budget.
If that's not available, then
No,
it's too heavy for the...
too heavy a
They're,
vehicle.
they're holding
Might
the
have to
back
go too
seat.
far.
The dog.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
All right, anybody against this? All right, I make that motion that we expend the capital reserve fund police money in the amount of $52,656 for the K-9 vehicle.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Aye. Here we go now.
The second request is the big one, of course, $160,200 for the purchase of a Ford 550 and 350 wreck with the plower and sander attachments.
Hey,
Want to plead your case?
So I did already numerous times.
Yeah. How come not just two 550s or?
To the judgment of the highway superintendent, he felt this is what they needed.
And is the 350 a dump?
It's a 350 pickup with plow and sander, and it's a 550 flatbed.
Oh, that's replacing Chromie's old.
Yeah. So, and to Tim's credit, this is actually $35,800 less than we had in the capital plan this last year. So 71,915 for the 350 fully loaded, 88,285 for the 550 fully loaded, which left us a balance of $35,800 less than what we thought we were going to need to raise to replace these two trucks. And if you recall from the capital plan, these are two trucks that had already previously pretty much lost their service life.
And by fully loaded, you mean with the plow and
Yeah,
sander
plow.
and lights, not
Right.
like leather seats and TVs.
That's what I mean, thanks for the correction.
Just in case anybody's watching on TV.
That's true.
Are we gonna junk what's left?
What's left is already gone. Those trucks had already suffered a difficult fate after many miles of plowing. So they did a good job limping the fleet along last year, but these were the ones we put in the capital plan last year because we needed to move them up because we lost a couple trucks.
So they're charging $6,500 just to mount the sander on them.
No, that's the sander.
That's the equipment.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
All right,
Those prices are right in line, maybe even a little cheap, because I look at that stuff.
yeah. License plate light kit for $60.
Yeah, you're gonna have to cut that off.
And then, all right, well, was that your?
Yeah, it's my motion.
I'll second it.
All right.
I guess we need this stuff, right?
Yes, that's it.
All right. Electricity.
We should probably vote.
This is shocking.
Oh, yeah, we all in favor of that last one?
Yes, all those in favor?
All right.
It's official.
The follow-up to our conversation that we started a month ago.
Yeah.
What I did was, after getting the spreadsheet from Gretchen, which I think you've received or have seen, if you are so inclined to examine it further, there's a copy of it right here. Gretchen does great work tracking all of our kilowatt usage by the meter each month as the bills come in, which enables us to do some really finite budgeting and forecasting for our expenses. So I took the rates that we were considering, the lowest being 8.6 cents per kilowatt hour, the highest being 12 cents per kilowatt hour. This is just for the supplier. This is not the distribution cost that Eversource charges. And did a little bit of math to get us an estimated cost based on our average usage. This is based on all the meters that the town has that are outside of our net metering agreement that accompanies our solar array, but does not include the library. I wasn't able to get those numbers in time, but presumably the library amount is going to be fairly small compared to the rest of the usage that the town has.
So we see in 2022, 2023 with
Yes.
usage kilowatt hours, what were the dollar figures for those 2 years?
So the dollar figures that we have would include the distribution. So it's a little bit more complicated, and it's actually very difficult to do quick math on that because the meters are charged to a number of different accounts. And some of those budget lines, it's mixed electricity, so it's mixed with regular usage plus one or two of the net metered accounts. So there's bills coming out. It's a little bit difficult to break into it.
Couldn't we get Standard Power to give us those numbers?
They get those numbers from Gretchen. So
We have those numbers.
we have those
'Cause
numbers.
it would
They
make
get
a
them from
difference.
us.
If we're currently paying
Or
like
from
60 grand,
Eversource.
right?
So this would be our estimated cost, our estimated yearly cost. Right now, our current contract is for over 16 cents per kilowatt hour, so our budget is based on a much higher per kilowatt hour average on the supplier side. So I'm very comfortable saying that the select board could take, could choose whichever rate that they would like, and then that would still give us enough to cover the increase to delivery charge that Eversource has already announced for the balance of the year.
Well, I feel like I haven't changed my mind. I would really prefer to go the 100% clean 100.
You haven't changed your mind either, have you?
Well, in terms of the 100%, yes, I have, for a couple reasons. First of all, the Peterborough local, which is the default for the rest of the town, is 9.3 cents. So there's a considerable savings versus the 100% renewable. Now, I agree, we're not getting the kind of bang for a buck in terms of renewable energy in that regard, because it's only, 23% renewables. The key feature of that, however, is the fact that it's generating at a rate of 0.7 cents per kilowatt hour money for our independent fund, a local fund to support local energy projects. The other rates don't include that. And so the incentive is that, well, let's invest in the town. Let's invest in renewable energy for the town.
Which might wind up on a fire department or something.
Right. We're talking about the energy rates, Bruce. And Bruce has done a fair amount of research in this. From the perspective of the community power, I mean, this was the preferred rate in which to add the adder, primarily because the majority of our residential population, 85, 86%, default to that particular rate.
This is not for homeowners, this is town building.
This is,
We're
yeah.
just talking about the town's usage, yes.
Yes.
Yep. So that's the rate that you're choosing. You're not choosing, at this time, you are not choosing what the default power option is for the residential and commercials.
Right.
We're just talking about the town's meters.
How long has the town, it's been my understanding since I was on the select board, that the town was purchasing 100% renewable RECs, whatever you call them, whether it's wind or wherever, based on a principle that was set forth by the select board many, many years ago.
Yes.
Right? So why would we go back? Why would we get dropped down to a quarter of the usage of, I mean, that's going backwards. That's kind of,
Well, once again,
and we'll never reach, I mean, what was the year we're supposed to be 100% renewable as a town that the voters overwhelmingly wanted to get to? 2030?
Yep.
Which will be there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 6-month contract, or a
Yeah.
6-month agreement. We'd certainly be able to revisit this anytime after that, the next time that the period reopens.
Okay, so out of the 49,605, if we went with the 75% non-renewable energy, how much of that, that's how I'm.
Yeah, I see it.
How much of that money goes in the town's pocket towards, what, $3,000 maybe? $500?
$3,700.
$3,700.
Well, it's probably slightly more because the library isn't counted.
That's right.
And that's a year. Okay, so 3,700, how many years is $3,700 going to have to accrue by the time we pay for the solar array on the fire station?
Almost 10.
So that's only $37,000, right? 10 years?
Bruce? Yeah.
Yes, the town itself will contribute about $60,000 in that period of time. So we expect that will help the fire station.
But
And another question, this might be helpful, is there going to be an option, is the local option going to be extended to the other rate models, or is it only ever going to be just one?
It's currently one, they say they might expand it to more of the rate options, to allow 2 or 3. It's an accounting thing, and it's a small operation at this point, so I can't say when they plan on doing that.
50 years.
I do know that they plan, starting this next rate period in February, to have a year rate, so that's coming up.
Do you have any idea if they would consider still giving the credit to the fund on all of them on some certain level? Because you would think at the highest rate, they would still offer the kickback.
Well, in that case, it would be an adder, because those rates reflect what it costs them to provide that amount of renewable energy.
I gotcha.
So if they did that, in other words, it'd be 12.7% if we wanted to go all the way to 100%.
so, okay. What year was it that the select board in the past made that mandate on the town to go 100% renewable? It's been-
Before you, so it had to be like
Yeah,
40 years
15.
ago.
And, yeah, it was, there was and it wasn't to go 100% renewable. The goal was to reduce the town's carbon consumption by a percentage by 2015. I'm trying to remember I think it was like by 20. It was actually a relatively small amount. I believe originally it was to reduce the town's carbon emissions by 5% by 2015, and we ended up returning a reduction of 22% by that deadline. I don't think that there was, after that, I don't think there was a commitment to a particular 100% goal until the 2030 was adopted by town meeting.
I seem to recall something in the town code or the town policy.
It's a green purchasing policy. Essentially, whenever it's financially feasible to do so, to always opt for renewable, recycled, what have you products.
Okay, so we're risking the headline in the paper, Peterborough ends decade-long commitment to renewable energy by 75% of its purchasing. That's what we're ready to take on? That's how I see it.
Well, we do have a guy from the newspaper here, right?
It's probably,
Did you just write that down?
well, you know, as long as I've been here, that's been the drive in Peterborough, is our energy commitment. And it seems like we're going backwards. What's in that makeup? Coal, there's a bunch of coal in there, I'm sure, right? Coal and all these so-called cleaner fossil fuels, natural gas, you know, that whole fun one.
I don't think coal's in there.
Oh, yeah, no?
Hey, Nicole? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I had a question about, you said that any one of those options would still be within the budget that we have for this year,
Yes,
including the library.
I believe so, yes.
And less than even, because you're at 16 cents.
Well, if we're
Yeah,
at
I-
16, we're going down 4 cents, that's still something.
I mean, you have to keep in mind that the Eversource distribution is on average increasing by 7%
Yeah.
in the current year, and then the next block, I forget exactly what the increase is, but that's next fiscal year
I think
anyways.
it's double digit.
Yeah, I believe so. So to keep that in mind as well. But yes, if you go with the clean 50 or, you know, the default option, you're potentially returning a fair amount of money to the fund balance at the end of the year, so.
Well, there's another fly in the ointment. I did a little bit more research, and I had people, well, Standard Power actually, had come up with a contract renewal starting in November that for 12 months would cost 0.0993 per kilowatt hour, that's 100%. Or I'm sorry, 100% green would be 12 months at 0.1, at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, 10.2. So if we go out to, and I know that you did that.
I requested that they make a submission
Right.
at the same time as CPCNH. They did not meet the deadline. They were about a month late, unfortunately.
But can we reconsider that? Because that's a significant amount of money. That's, well,
And going on.
I mean, I
If we're
think
gonna
in
go-
good faith, CPCNH, you know, met the
True.
request. And despite a outreach to Standard Power multiple times, they didn't meet the deadline for whatever reason. So
Well, I know where Tyler's leaning, and I tend to agree, so.
Yeah, I see that is more of a stick than a carrot, that Peterborough local thing.
Well, if it's less,
I don't, 37.
I think we're doing more for,
well, municipally, yeah, $3,700, but realize that the town is roughly 10% of the usage across the town. Isn't that right, Bruce? The town is about 500,000 kilowatt hours per year.
And all of Peterborough is about 18 megawatt hours.
substantially more, yeah.
Yes.
So the town is a pretty small,
Yeah,
This small portion
This
of
is
the
just town buildings, yeah, we're not mandating that for every homeowner.
No.
no.
That's-
Well, what I'm saying is that many of our homeowners were Eversource default, so therefore they're on CPCNH now, 85%. So they're contributing, through Peterborough Local, they're contributing to that fund. So I see your point, $3,700 per year is not a lot of money. And we had that discussion at the last community power
Yeah, if you'd like the rationale of developing that particular rate, it's that the whole rec system allows you to avoid buying those recs if you pay into a special fund that eventually goes into the New Hampshire Saves program. And we are essentially replacing that option with paying it into our fund in Peterborough. So the idea being that renewable energy produced in town is better than someplace else that you can't tell where it was or how much of it is going to some other kind of profit. In any case, we thought with...
So who is generating local power that could benefit? Who would be getting money from our local?
Hopefully, the town of Peterborough will create a lot of solar arrays behind their meter so that they can use that power without having to pay the delivery fees, which is a whole other matter. The delivery fees are skyrocketing along with demand charges. So anything you can do to reduce your own purchases from the grid has a secondary benefit.
Which has been enormously beneficial to the wastewater treatment plant, which is our biggest
Yeah.
user of electricity, for sure.
Sure.
Saves tens of thousands of dollars a year easily.
So we got that going for us. We don't have going for us is this table still walking. Driving me crazy.
All right, well, is it a big decision?
Nope, I'll give you this one,
Well, we could change it.
6 months.
In 6 months.
You don't want to explore other options, 100%?
That is entirely up to the board. So whatever you
Well-
choose to do is what I will do.
Which it seems, it would be a pretty massive kick in the face to send out a request for quotes, get it from Community Power Coalition in New Hampshire, of which we're a member, and then say, we changed our minds, that deadline doesn't work. I hate that. I don't find that fair at all. But in 6 months, we certainly can.
Yeah.
And it would be cheaper. So we're just buying time, basically, which is fine. So if you want to go 100, I'll do it with it for the next 6 months.
Well, I'll make that motion, sure.
I'll second it.
100%.
I'll support.
Yeah.
All right, well, I do appreciate the discussion, and I think it's on our conscience, really. It's more than just the actual power.
Well, we can sleep well tonight.
Well,
We're just gonna have to turn down the lights.
And the heat.
Well, we won't need air conditioning.
every community that opts for that cheaper is saying, okay, well, we're okay with fossil fuels.
You're right.
And we'd be going backwards, that's how I feel. And we're never gonna get to a place where that's an option to curb climate change, even if you don't believe in that sort of thing. It's smarter to work towards something that's separate from an effect on climate change, if you can do that, so.
And we're not locked in forever.
Okay, well, thank you for that discussion. Next up, on the agenda.
All in favor?
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Wait. Oh. Well, thank you for sitting through our discussion there. Welcome, guys, I see David, Blair, and Gloria, and Eric. Hi. From Mariposa. Allie, want to bring us up to speed on what's...
Sure.
Anything that's happened in the last month, not the other 40 times we talked about it.
I gotcha. So I do want to make one correction to the recommendation that was in the packet. So this is technically regarding the 2023 application for exemption, not 2024. So as you as you pointed out, Bill, this has been a topic of discussion for a really long time. There's been a lot of back and forth And it took a lot of work for Mary Beth and I to be able to comfortably make a recommendation. But since we've been working with David Blair, who has been wonderful and has gotten us all of the additional information that we required, we do want to recommend that Journeys in Education and by extension the Mariposa Museum are granted an exemption on the condition that Journeys in Education enters into a pilot agreement with the town of Peterborough. So that agreement means that they would, in recognition of the ways that they are benefited by the services that the town offers, they would pay the town portion of the tax rate multiplied by their assessed value divided by 1,000 each year. So rather than getting a tax bill and paying the tax bill twice annually, once a year they would make a payment to the town in lieu of that tax bill. So that would be calculated each year and then sent to them towards the end of the calendar year.
So, do we, since, I mean, there's back taxes right now, right?
2022. 2021 is paid, 2022 is not yet.
Okay. So, where do we land with, I mean, if that's what you're recommending, I read through the whole thing, and that's fine with me, but I'm just curious, did we as a town already have to pay the state portion of that bill
So.
for those years,
No.
including 23?
No, so they've already paid the full tax bill for 2021. They're working on the full tax bill for 2022. What you're discussing now is 2023, and whether or not you agree to enter into this pilot agreement, in which case, yes, the balance of the community would cover the state portion. And there's actually a little bit of math that's involved in that. Their value gets removed from some of the calculations, so it's complicated. But some of their property value gets removed from the calculation, so it never enters into the calculation, for instance, for the school district. But it's, obviously, the town would still be receiving its portion based on their assessed value.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, is the town in the hole?
No. Short answer is no. Sorry for the long answer. The short answer is no.
Yeah, because you just...
Yeah.
All right, so we didn't already have to pay that because they weren't exempt at that point?
Correct.
Well,
It's complicated. We have already paid the bills. The bills get paid every year before the last tax bill goes out.
right,
Yeah.
so we did pay.
Yes and no. There's an overlay amount that gets added essentially as a rider to, over the rest of the tax bills, that it covers things like this, exemptions that get applied and whatnot each year. I'm happy, we can go through it much better.
No, I don't want you to.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, there's several other organizations in town who are part of this pilot program, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Payment of those taxes,
Yeah.
I understand that completely.
except for McDowell.
I mean, if we're saying on behalf of the entire town, we're paying a bill that was due because they weren't exempt. I know that we have an overage in there, but I don't know, it seems a little unfair, but if everybody else is fine with it, then so.
But they're paying that.
They're paying 2021 and 2022 because they were not in, they had lost their pilot agreement, and thus their nonprofit status at about the same time. So, as far as property taxes were concerned, at any rate. And so
Yeah,
this
well,
is
that's fine.
essentially reinstating the agreement that had been in place before, reinstating the acknowledgement of their nonprofit status for property tax purposes, same as it had been before.
Does anybody else understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
Bill?
I do
Oh, you do?
understand. I
Okay.
do, yes.
Do you,
It-
Bill? You get what I'm saying? Like, we already had to pay the bill for 2023.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but we're.
The state portion, which I guess is pretty minimal, all things considered.
It's a small amount in the grand scheme of things.
Well, we do that every year.
I forgot about that part.
There
I
are,
forgot.
you know, there are several people that are always,
There's always taxpayers who
Are
are
they
behind,
behind?
yes,
Right.
or do not
So-
pay their bill.
right. It's not an anomaly, it's kind of, it does happen, so.
And normally I have the snapshot of my tax bill every time I blink, but I forgot the amount of it this state. So, okay, I'm fine.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
All right, great, yeah, that's the second motion, get it back on there,
Okay.
on the way. All those in there?
Aye.
You guys, oh, sorry, did you want to add?
Sorry if it felt like I was against you there, I was just trying to calculate.
Just to say thank you to Ally and Nicole. It's been a long slog for all of us, and we've slogged through it to this point, so thank you.
You really went right through it.
Yeah.
That was
And
awful.
a question, this is for '23, but we'll also hope that it will apply to our '24 tax bill. Do we need every year still to follow that deadline and reapply for our charitable exemption?
You'll
Or-
just need to fill out the A9s and A12s and get them to us before the deadlines each year.
Okay.
Yep.
And you will remind us if it's late. Thank you.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Thank you, Ally.
Well, you're gonna have to remind them 30 days before it's late.
Yeah.
Well, and,
Because if it's late, it's late.
well,
That's
and
a state problem.
I was going to say, and I will say that, it's a state mandate.
Yes.
That all charitable organizations get those A9s and A12s into us by the deadline. So we have very little flexibility on that.
Understood.
But-
I mean,
And
the
I say that for the benefit of any executive directors of any nonprofits that are tuned in.
Yes.
Um,
Well, we will put it on our calendar and 30 days before, so
Yeah,
thank
I
you
mean,
very much.
awesome.
Just keep in mind, just like the IRS due date, it's April 15th for the first one. It's,
Yep.
just like the IRS.
Pretty
The
easy.
town has, and Ally has as a courtesy, always provided notification in advance. There's no obligation on the town to do that,
Understood.
so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
You're getting your house in order, that's good.
Yeah.
You're trying.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, you
Did
were
you
right
just
up
join
against
the
it
board,
there.
Eric?
I did,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, a year, been about a year.
But as if you don't have enough to do.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
We good here?
Well,
Approving the minutes.
that's your
I'll make a
motion.
motion that we approve the minutes
Nicely done.
from August 6th.
Yeah, I'll second it. All those in favor? Great.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. That will wrap it
May
up.
I make the motion to adjourn?
Sure, sure.
Sorry, I had to scroll
Try and
back.
stop.
Wow, I
Come on,
was
let's look at
expecting this meeting to go until 7.
I thought so too, honestly. So, well done, you guys went through a lot of material very quickly.
Well, a lot of that stuff we'd already, we kind of knew.
Yeah,
about.
we
Approved a lot of
discussed it
stuff.
ad nauseam.
What is this?
What's driving me crazy?
Oh.
Who was our second on adjourning? You were the first.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in.
The whole thing slid over.
You just have to review the film. All right.